today with the Nighthaunts, a new way of war. With sudden and terrible swiftness, the Nighthaunts attacked. In many locations, the horizon turned an eerie greenish blue, an ominous spectacle caused by the oncoming waves of vengeful specters. Elsewhere they dove down from night skies, rose from ground mists, or swept straight through protective walls. In Lyria, upon the plains of Narth, were sprawled the armies of the 8-armed Chaos warlord Thur. It was beneath his iron fist that several underworlds had been ransacked and countless souls claimed for the dark gods. Now they were encamped on the plains, and only a week's march from the cairn city of Glimsforge. In an attack characteristic of dozens of others across Lyria and hundreds more over the expanse of Shyish, 3 Nighthaunt processions turned the campsite into a bloodbath. Bypassing all pickets and guardians, the Nighthaunts emerged from below. Surprise was complete, and in moments all was bedlam, as panicking foes routed. 1,000 different melees erupted between the bonfires as hordes of chain-wrapped specters rose up to overrun hulking dragon ogres. Frenzy met its own as Gore-Chosen clashed with scythe-armed wraiths, neither side willing to take a step backwards in their eagerness to slaughter the other. So devastating was the Nighthaunt's assault that the battle was over in moments, but the Wraith hosts did not haunt the battlefield. Instead, they disappeared, already en route to their next target. Those foes who dared to stand against the quick-strike attacks, led by the Mortarch of Grief, found themselves embroiled in a rapidly moving campaign like no other. They fought against armies that did not need food or rest, and that left no physical sign of their passage, leaving foes to speculate where or when the wraiths might arise again. Nighthaunt processions used their ethereal nature to full advantage. Entire armies rose out of the ground to strike without warning, and disappeared just as quickly. In the rare instances when their assaults did not work as planned, their armies simply melted away, sinking into the earth, or stepping into eerie mists to disappear entirely. The Nighthaunt's targets found themselves ground down, worn out from fighting and chasing phantoms who were not beholden to the same worldly limitations as they. But worse than any physical strain was the psychological onslaught. Even the bravest might tremble before the wail of a tomb banshee, or startle at the sudden appearance of the specters. But there was something more. Surging like a bow wave before the Nighthaunt processions came an overwhelming sense of fear, dread, and foreboding. This was the effect of Lady Olynder, for misery flew about her like wind around the eye of a hurricane. As enemy commanders sought to rally their troops, they found even their most stalwart regiments moving more slowly, crushed under the oppressive weight of their own hopelessness. Many victories followed. During the siege of Morlags, Lady Olynder herself destroyed the Lord Celestant in command of the Stormcast foe. At the third Battle of Traitor's Gulch, a procession under Baron Morbosi secured the calcified Realm Gate, and at the Mausoleum Mountains, a force of Nighthaunts reclaimed their underworld of old, driving off the Sigmarite interlopers. But not all battles were triumphs. At Glim's Forge, the anvils of the Heldenhammer held off the Nighthaunts long enough to allow some of the most hated storm hosts to once more escape the great necromancer's vengeance. The final battle to reclaim all of Lyria was fought at Grun. There, Lord Thur summoned the bloodthirster Kazkan, leader of the Hellfire Legion. The Chaos Forces broke Lady Olynder's Grim Guard and nearly succeeded in destroying the Mortarch. Only the arrival of Arcan the Black and Nagash himself turned the tide and saw the foe vanquished. Although pleased with her conquests, Nagash judged Lady Olynder to be overly headstrong. To censure his newest Mortarch, Nagash orchestrated another of his cruel ironies. She who used betrothal only to climb to power was forced into marriage with a would-be king who was every bit as ambitious as she. Nagash deemed the indomitable spectre of Kurdos Valentian a suitable match. He would provide brute force and tactical advice to complement Olynder's supernatural might. Yet Kurdos would never rule. It had been his all-consuming ambition in life to command, though now that he had finally risen to sovereignty, true authority was forever denied to him. Together they would serve Nagash, aiding him in ushering in a new age, the age of undeath. The Soul Wars had begun. The Soul Wars. Nagash lays claim to Shyish and every soul that enters the underworlds, an entitlement he believes was agreed upon by the gods of Sigmar's pantheon long ago. Though some, like the Chaos Gods, challenge this claim openly and are known foes, those members of the Great Alliance, along with their followers who withhold souls from this destiny, are branded traitors, and many have been so denounced, from Sigmar and his Stormcast Eternals, to the Elven races, the Sylvaneth, and more, and it is Nagash's plan to make them pay. Shyish, the Realm of Death. Shyish is a realm of endings, where amethyst magic is strongest. Within the realm's borders are every underworld ever summoned into being by the beliefs of mortal cultures. At the center of all stands the great citadel of Nagashazar, where the supreme lord of undead dwells. Throughout the ages, the civilizations of the mortal realms have each forged mythical concepts of where the spirit departs to after death. All of these imagined afterlives coalesce in Shyish, the realm of death, shaped by common ideologies and given form in that realm by its abundance of amethyst magic. Yet, the realm is not solely the domain of the dead, for in addition to the many lands therein, there are that are utterly inimical to life. There are those which are entirely habitable by the living. Shyish is a series of sprawling landscapes and oceans, with a deep pit in the center. The Shyish Nadir, Much like a whirlpool, this central vortex draws in those things that are near to it, though it operates not on gravity, but amethyst magic. Since the Necroquake, those underworlds that are forsaken or forgotten by their mortal believers, or have simply run their course, are dragged closer to the nadir. There they are swallowed, crushed to ultimate nothingness, for above all else, Shyish is a realm of endings. As civilizations decline and disappear, as empires crumble, eventually so too do their underworlds. Yet whether an underworld is populated by the living, the dead, or both, all are haunted places. Amethyst magic is plentiful, and veins of grave sand marble the lands. When the mists rise, it is said that they can reanimate corpses, or lure those cursed souls that have become Nighthaunts. The underworlds themselves are magnets for the eldritch energies of ending, and they shape many environments, flora and fauna, that would be impossible elsewhere. All of the living inhabitants of Shyish, from feral tribes to civilized city folk, have devised their own wards against the restless dead. It is often said that mortals from Shyish are highly superstitious, and this is true, for each sect has developed their own methods of warding off the many revenants that prey upon the living. For them, this is a simple necessity that must be learned by any mortals daring to live in a realm of underworlds and afterlives. Never have I seen such bleak landscapes, such forlorn vistas. It is a grim place for grim folk, and for the dead, for everywhere there can be found spirits. Anaximander, cartographer of Azerheim. Conquered by chaos. During the Age of Chaos, Shyish came under assault by the Dark Gods and their minions. Many of its lands were overrun, both those settled by mortals and areas populated solely by spirits. Cities were leveled, the greatest cairn monuments were cast down, and the hungering chaos gods devoured souls while their armies planted foul icons wherever they conquered. Even Nagash was beaten, forced to retreat and recover. For centuries he was trapped, and the armies of the dark gods besieging the underworld he had taken refuge in. Despite their best efforts, the forces of chaos could not gain entry to Nagash's sanctuary, for travel between the underworlds can be notoriously difficult without a deep understanding of necromancy. The dead return. The great necromancer was not destroyed, merely biding his time. Whether by happenstance or design, he timed his return with Sigmar's reopening of Azir and the Stormcast eternal assaults upon the mortal realms. With the coming of the so-called Age of Sigmar, Nagash and his Mortarchs launched dozens of campaigns to drive back the forces of the Chaos. I assume that was supposed to be the Chaos Gods. In the prime inner lands, in places like Carnal Court and the Isle of Doomy, the undead rose up and reconquered their lands entirely, cleansing them of the threat of chaos. And then came the near completion of Nagash's great plan and the Necroquake. This cataclysmic event altered the lands, changing the polarity of the flow of death magic in Shyish, and stirring the undead to new heights of activity across all the mortal realms. With the labor of millions of undead, the great capital of Nagashizar was rebuilt, so that once more Nagash could ascend his throne. Now fueled by the power of the Great Black Pyramid, Shyish draws in all souls, so that none might escape Nagash. Yet the Nadir is so incredibly rich in amethyst magic that even Nagash cannot dwell there indefinitely. It is a place of insanity as well as death, and even the most ancient of vampires and liches feel the compacted nothingness of pure endings crushing down upon them in that deathscape of changeless eternity. It is from this epicenter of pulseless power that Nagash launches his endless streams of invasions, both to reclaim the rest of his realm and outwards to punish the mortal realms. Despite the many victories achieved by Nagash and his Mortarchs in the realm of death, the vile tendrils of chaos still run deep in a great many places. Areas like Gothizar are still controlled by chaos, and are the grim forests of Moderhaven and the entirety of the Graniate Isle. Ossia is in a constant state of desperate war, even as it is slowly dragged towards the Shyish Nadir. Some of the most corrupted regions, like the tainted Rictus Realm Gate in Grishlon, or the Bone Gardens of Omegar, are held by demon legions. Well springs of terror. While all of Shyish is suffused with dark energies and Nighthaunts can be found in every underworld, there are some sites of unholy power notorious for producing spiritual horrors. The Wraith Fjords to the north of Garstinia, the city of Muertzan, and the Isle of Honor's End have each produced scores of Nighthaunt processions. The nation of Vinculus is home to the single largest chain rasp horde to ever haunt the mortal realms. In life, its inhabitants rebelled against the rule of Nagash, and so he cursed each and every one of them, to be linked for eternity by arcane shackles. Yet wherever a spirit originally hails from, all now rush to heed the siren call of Lady Olynder. I think that is actually where we're going to stop this video today. I've had a very long day today and I am tired. So we're gonna make this a shorter video. I'm sorry about that, but I won't make a habit of it, I swear. Alright, if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.